He was dragged out of the bank in front of everyone, shoulder nearly yanked from its socket, his suit torn in a way that screamed humiliation more than violence, and the elbow of some overeager security guard grinding into the side of his neck, while folks watched. Some whispered, some just averted their eyes, like pretending nothing was happening might make it so. I'll tell you, nobody there knew they were witnessing the moment their world was about to crack open. All because this man had the wrong skin for the wrong lobby on the wrong morning. Yeah, that happened, and it wasn't even the loud ones who started it. Sometimes presence alone is enough. They saw a black man standing where black men rarely stand and decided how little he was worth. They decided how much dignity he deserved, how far they could push him before anyone would care. But this time, they picked the wrong one. You ever see a place so polished it feels cold? Langley First Bank was all marble, glass, and silent money. People glided past reception, shoes squeaking on stone, eyes trained forward. If you belonged, you never looked around. Malachi stepped in with a charcoal jacket softened by years, khakis with careful creases, shoes that knew more pavement than privilege. The moment he crossed that threshold, a guard named Royce cut him off. Big guy, bigger chip on his shoulder, spoke with that quiet authority of someone who thinks the outcome's already written. Asked if Malachi needed directions to the soup kitchen, said maybe he'd mixed up the DMV with the bank. Malachi said nothing, just handed over his ID, but Royce stared like he was searching for the crack that proved it fake. He nodded at the far line marked General Services, never mind the velvet ropes and glass partitions on the other side, where real clients wait. He stood behind a woman in pearls and a man more interested in stock tickers than reality. The looks started, those careful glances that ask a question without words, suspicion dressed as curiosity. One floor manager, Cheston, leaned to his assistant and mumbled about rehab patients and benefit checks, the kind of talk that passes for banter if nobody calls it out. Another teller laughed, said they really ought to screen the lobby better before it got embarrassing. Nobody asked Malachi if he needed help. When he finally reached the counter, the woman behind the glass badge said, "D," looked him up and down like she was calculating whether to call security or just wait for him to go away. He gave his account number, asked for the portfolio manager, and she barely looked up, just typed, told him to wait. No offer of a seat, no water, not even a fake smile. Meanwhile, someone else got ushered into a private room with espresso, warm towel, a garden view. Yeah, the contrast was sharp. Cheston himself emerged, tablet pressed to his chest, asking not why Malachi was there, but what he was doing in the building at all. Didn't check the appointment reference, just told him there'd been a mix-up, sent him to the unverified customer desk by the exit. Said something loud enough for the next banker to hear about posers faking portfolio meetings. At that desk, a guy glanced at Malachi's ID and asked if he was making a delivery. Like being black in a bank is a service job by default. After 10 minutes of nothing, a mother pulled her kid close as she passed. A man in a perfect suit stared at Malachi's shoes like the scuffs were a crime. Security came again. Was he sure he was in the right place? Malachi, steady as stone, stared at the exit and back, and just said, "Yes, I'm in the right place." He called the client services line, the one reserved for VIPs. The voice on the other end was all pleasantries until Malachi gave his info. Then she said there was no record. Suggested maybe he called the wrong department. He said no. She bounced him to verification. New voice, firmer, doubted every answer. No meeting found. No help without a printed email. He offered to show it on his phone. She said, "That's unfortunate. Transfer him again." Hold music washed over him as he watched a woman in pastels walk in. No ID, no appointment, straight to the executive suite. Another older guy in sandals just waved off security and strolled right in, staff laughing at his jokes about being a legacy client. Malachi was still on hold. When he tried the desk again, the receptionist blinked, asked his name like she'd never seen him. "No Malachi account," she said, and when he corrected her, she just shrugged, didn't even try another database. Said they were short-staffed. All appointment only today. His call disconnected, so he dialed corporate, got another brusque voice who finally found his info, pending verification, marked inactive. Why? Not at liberty to say. That was it. Across the lobby, The world moved on. Bankers greeted each other by name. Regulars got ushered through doors Malachi never would. He sat in a heavy chair designed to discourage loitering, ignored by staff, and his phone buzzed with an automated survey about his excellent service. A sharply dressed banker named Reagan came over, smirk already in place, and made a show of asking if Malachi needed directions to the bus stop, or maybe to the shelter next door, loud enough to be heard, quiet enough to deny. Malachi didn't react. Reagan leaned in, voice dropping to a sneer, said, "You know what people like you don't get? This place is for us, not you. You don't even smell right." A fat man in a Rolex joined and saw him digging through the trash last week. Same coat. Laughter bounced around, but not a soul intervened. Malachi stood again, went to the desk, asked if there was any update, just got a rehearsed answer. Eyes never meeting his. "Staffing's tight. Please be patient." Asked if he could see a log. "Not possible." "Upstairs visit?" "Not procedure." Reagan and his friend leaned against the glass, coffee in hand, grinning at Malachi like he was an exhibit. No one challenged it. No one cared. After nearly 90 minutes, Royce returned, said there'd been a request to verify his account. Led him away, past public eyes, down a corridor marked staff only. They put him in a small, windowless room 1 metal chair. No water, no clock. Questions started where? Did he get his client number? Who helped him with his statements? Did he even understand the numbers? They accused him of fraud, asked why he was so calm, why he was dressed that way, if he usually needed help reading documents. A woman in a navy blouse came in, asked if he had a supervisor who could vouch for him. Malachi answered, "My credentials stand on their own." They didn't believe him. Time stretched. "You're just being asked to wait somewhere secure," they said. For some clients, yes. When Royce finally let him out, they went to a side door. Another banker snatched Malachi's briefcase, dumped it out, rifled through his documents, proof of everything he claimed. "Looks like parole paperwork," someone sneered. A staffer gasped, not in empathy, just shock at his audacity. Malachi calmly collected his documents. Suddenly, from the mezzanine, a man in a 3-piece suit pointed at Malachi, declared he'd exhibited concerning behavior, and called for removal to protect client integrity. Bureaucratic code for not one of us. No one questioned it. As Malachi headed for the exit, the operations manager blocked his path, leaned in close, and said, "You knew you didn't belong. Now you go." No one held the door. As he left, someone muttered, "Maybe now we can get back to real clients." Royce watched the lobby camera, muttering about access versus belonging, the whole system gloating in quiet, practiced contempt. Upstairs, the branch director Cordell chewed his gum, joked about needing dress codes to keep the wrong types out. Staffers gossiped about thrift store fashion, said maybe it was time to put up signs, "If your outfit costs less than $50, try another bank." No one challenged it. Cordell, barely finished with his latest message about aesthetic fit, got a Callan icy voice from Brixton Financials. "We're confirming our complete withdrawal, $2.66 billion, effective this morning. Please confirm." Cordell froze, pulled up the system, saw corporate accounts blinking red, balances gone, locked. "This has to be a mistake," he whispered. But the voice kept going. "Your compliance officer will be in touch to audit all interactions with client IDM. Rivers. If misconduct is confirmed, Langley First may be liable." Cordell's hand shook. The name hit him. Rivers, the same man they'd just humiliated out the door. Downstairs, staff rushed to check directories, saw the name. Malachi Rivers, founder of Brixton Financial, board chair, institutional heavyweight. Panic spread like wildfire. The regional CEO's voicemail filled up, compliance swarmed the branch. HR arrived with security. Envelopes marked confidential review notice handed out to everyone involved. Cheston tried to protest, but the ethics officer cut him off. "You were never supposed to need a reminder to act human." The press caught wind-breaking news of discrimination at a national bank. A billionaire client ousted, scandal confirmed by legal counsel. Stock price tanked. Anonymous leaks exposed racist jokes about client screening. A civil rights lawyer stood on the bank steps, cameras rolling, vowing inquiry and accountability. The weeks after, The world moved on, but those at the center couldn't. Cordell faded away, took up counseling, wrote in his application, "I listen now because I never did." Reagan, blacklisted, volunteered at a youth center with Malachi's name on the wall. Teach dignity before ambition. Cheston quit corporate life, published stories of workplace bias. Just read, didn't justify. Some changed. Some just vanished. As for Malachi, never sued, never gave a statement. He invested in community, expanded scholarships, and even gave Reagan a job, not out of pity but belief in change. He wrote in a private memo, "Justice without vengeance is the only kind that heals." And so, the man who was dragged out quietly rebuilt something no scandal could erase: dignity. Not just for himself, but for everyone who saw the cracks in the marble and dared to imagine something better. So now I've got to ask, what would you have done in that lobby? Would you have spoken up or looked away? Where's the line between silence and complicity? Let us know down below. Was it the silence, the twist, the ending that got you? We want your voice in this story because sometimes the comment you leave is where change starts.